dope needles down in our basement. People be hitting people in the head.
I don't think any other people in America could take this kind of stuff. I mean, drive anybody into being a revolutionary. What do you think about the police?
They ain't nothing but pigs, man. Like, they picked me up just because I wasn't in school and shit like that. So I said, man, what y'all gonna do with me? He said, I'm gonna take you to the pig pen. I said, no, you ain't. You gonna take me to my aunt, buddy. So he said, all right. I said, so then he took down my name and shit like that. So I said, man, y'all ain't nothing but pigs. Y'all know that? I told him right to their face.
The question, always comes when you live in a community that's oppressed and people are living like we have to live in the black community. How do you get a handle on all these problems? You solve them by trying to create in the citizens an awareness of a need for dramatic and drastic change in this community.
Washington's 3rd Police District. There is contrast here. From Embassy Road to devastated 14th Street, a corridor of violence in the spring riots of 1968. An average week in this district will bring 40 robberies, 16 aggravated assaults, and a high incidence of rape, homicide, and arson. With drug abuse the source of at least half the crime, 80 addicts this year will die from overdose. By fall of 1968, a mayor's committee had chosen this site for a new opportunity. With high hope and more than $1 million, the plan was this: erode suspicion and fear among police and the people. Find ways of helping the police force to be part of the community again. But there were those in the 3rd District to whom the experiment was dangerously flawed. Provisions for local control of the project were, they thought, unclear. They feared the trick bag, another signal that the black community could not be held responsible for change.
Right.
Among the leaders who fashioned war against the pilot district project was one man who would see it through.
Marion Barry. What was the message?
32 years old, former teacher of college chemistry, director of a black corporation called Pride. Marion Barry had a strategy for community control.
Tell him to Atlanta then. Tell him I can see him in about 2 minutes. I got a message, that's my Chief Wilson. Where? At his office? Well, this is the other part of the 3rd District. I mean, you can see the difference. The streets, cleaner. This is the more affluent side of the 3rd District. Again, in most urban cities, you got that two-sided situation. You got where we live, 14th Street, or other parts of the black community. And you got this part of the community. These are the people who are not oppressed. They don't live in the kinds of squalor and kinds of bad kind of things that we do. These are the people who are crying for more protection, more dogs, more guns, more policemen, more jails, harsher sentences, because they're the ones whose homes are being burglarized and they've been hit in the head. And they don't have to do the things that we have to do. They don't have to go to meetings and disrupt them. They don't have to break up meetings. They don't have to kick the doors down. They don't have to protest or gain power the way we do. And the question is, how do you resolve those two conflicting points of view, where this part of the community wants a lot of more policemen, a lot more repressiveness, and the other part of the community, which is our community, wants less policemen in terms of physical presence. They want more humane treatment. They want more rehabilitative kinds of programs, and that's what I think we have to, deal with. And since this is where the problem is not as such, I think we have to concentrate on where the problem is.
I would like us to take up the business at hand. And the business at hand is to choose a precinct. We need to be talking about how we're going to do this.
I, Charles Cassell, can no longer serve on a committee which cannot possibly make changes if it functions only in an advisory capacity.
We're going to turn something loose to some people out there. They're not sophisticated as many of you people in here, and they're going to end up being in the trick bag. I'm going to be mad because I'm going to be out there with them.
You know, when you get straightened out, I'm not saying I'm resigning, but if they get any kind of understanding, right, send me a letter, postcard, or something, so I can come back here and we can get together on this thing, please. Previous question.
And we are here to select a precinct. But whether we realize it or not, we have more power in this room than I've seen assembled in Washington on one committee in a long time. And when you break it down into the precinct level, that power is diluted. So I'm trying to take the power we got here to make sure we get something substance. That's why I'm hesitant to really push ahead.
You don't get that power, control, and say and self-determination by just talking about it, because those who have it are not willingly going to give it up. And therefore you have to find various ways of seizing it, really, taking it, or convincing them they ought to give it to you. I mean, all kinds of words I use, seize, because that's what it is. And unfortunately, the only thing that we have at our command is our bodies and our voices. The only kind of things that the system seems to understand is when you organize that kind of confrontation, kind of politics. I believe in that because that's what labor unions did. That's what we did in the 1960s. And that's the way the country operates. This country got started on using disruptive kind of tactics. That was a revolution. So I learned that from America, anything I do.
You, Mr. Q, let's go right in. How you doing?
You got it right.
Oh, Monsignor. How are you, sir? Good. Good to see you.
This meeting was called to discuss the procedures and to take some action on the procedures for the election of the board.
Fix that too? You didn't get in it.
No, I don't understand that.
The young man is with the card right?
Quest.
Just come in.
We close his store.
All right. Mr. Berry may be permitted as an individual. Okay?
It's true, sir.
Okay.
That's funny.
Okay. Ask Mr. Berry to come in. Ask Mr. Berry to come in.
Go right in. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Who made you chairman anyway? Mr. Shallow, that white man did that for you?
Mister, I'm the host. I
Chairman?
did.
Well, you can't make yourself chairman.
What kind of meeting you got going on in there? A meeting with a bunch of Uncle Tom problems, and you folks are supposed to be protecting the citizens, you ain't doing shit.
This is by invitation only, sir. And my instructions are...
I think all of a sudden we got to have these pigs here to do something about us. We can conduct our own meeting. We can conduct our own meeting in the 3rd District. And I live in the 3rd District. See, you dig it? I work in the 3rd District, dig it? And I deserve, the people out there live there deserve the right to be here, and they're going to come in here as long as I'm in here.
That was all planned. The issue raised on the inside would be, why aren't these people allowed to come into their meeting? Which again makes some people start thinking, well, why aren't they in the meeting? Which again causes a confrontation between those that planned the meeting and those that didn't.
Every meeting that we have called, every meeting we have called in order.
You and your crowd.
Everybody.
All your crowd.
What's your crowd?
This lady is coming
She's coming. No, we're talking about people in.
Are you going to intimidate the lady, Miss Berry?
He doesn't intimidate me. I'm not afraid of it.
No.
Don't push me.
Oh,
Don't deal with it, man. Go ahead in there and break up that simple-ass meeting.
Thing that's in order.
The issue is whether people outside can come in. The issue is whether people outside can come in.
Order.
So what?
To order.
Bang again. It is order. We want the people outside, inside. That's all. No, I'm going to stay in here where I was permitted.
I don't think you ain't going to fire. And I believe that. I'm tired. I believe it from my heart. I ain't going to harm you if you don't harm me.
I'm going to touch you if you don't touch me. Leave that, brother. It was... I missed the turn.
Meeting now adjourned. See that what they're doing? They're putting everybody out right here. See that? Let's down to the Y, everybody, and have a meeting. Come on, man.
So we play track.
10-4.
Right. How bad is it? Whip that shit off. Come back down there again. Come back down there again, man.
There is no way that anybody can come into the 3rd District city government and have a meeting against our will. It just won't happen.
We told Robert Shallow and Charlie Duncan that they couldn't on their own come into our community and do what they wanted to do. That's the issue. So my idea is to keep us out here working, to inform people, let everybody know where the meetings are, come out, just keep us together and keep fighting the project until we get control of it. It's going to happen. It's very simple. OEO, at some point, is going to have to get tired of the project going on without any board. They got to do that. And at some point, then we got a suit we're talking about doing. So a lot of things we can do to get citizens involved. And let me say another thing. For those of you all that are new, it has taken us 15 months to go this far, and we've learned a lot. So a lot of what you might be thinking, a lot of questions you might have and not quite answered, just rest assured that we are working from experience, and we're going to do everything we can to protect the interests of all citizens at all times, that you have to sort of learn with us as you go and sort of trust that we're going to move and keep the thing going.
I believe very strongly in leadership. I don't believe that the masses of people are aware and can articulate the problems and solutions. And therefore you got to have good, honest leadership that knows where it wants to go, and it's in the vanguard position. And that's always been true of any revolution, whether it's social, economic, political, or armed.
This is a people's movement, old people, young people, poor people, all of whom live in the 3rd District. And it's not fair for these citizens who are gathered out here today to deliberately be left out of the picture.
And fortunately in Northwest Washington, you have some people who are committed to the community. And we struggled and organized. And fortunately, again, too, we were expressing the overwhelming sentiment of most of the people in the 3rd District.
Labeled us militants, dissidents, interrupters. There's a time when to be militant or dissident or to disrupt that which is wrong or harmful to the black community is the most honorable and revolutionary thing to do.
Right on, brother.
That's right.
And that's how it operates. And this is the only way I think you can organize. If you wait for the community to get ready for massive change through any legitimate structure, you won't get it, because most of the structures are not working, haven't worked for them. And the only time that I've seen the community really move and organize itself was in '68, when they had the disorders without community leadership. They burned most of the town down. That was their expression. But through legitimate kinds of things, not that that was too illegitimate, you got to have a few people that are in the vanguard. You know, there were some people who dropped out of it because they were tired of fighting and fussing, but by and large, most of the people hung in there, and we won, I think. So we just have to try to figure out a way, you know, to make sure when you get as old as I am, or even before that, that you don't have to live in those kind of conditions, where you don't have to see the drug addicts and the dope. So I think that's what we're talking about. Talking about how do you take a dude like this and make sure that he grows up to be a man, that he can stand tall, he can get the kind of advantages and opportunities that other people get. So that means we got to do something about trying to get some kind of control over our communities, right? So we can have something to say. How you doing, sister? About what's happening in our community, right? And I think we can do that. Don't you think so?
Right on.